Over 140 digital releases, bonus items from the back catalog, supporter-only specials, merchandise discounts. What are we talking about? It's the Swamp Krewe. From The Swamp Records, listen to some of these artists: Green Hog, Pure Sonic, Outcast, Lunar Swamp, Death Gang, Frog Lord, and brand new Veljet. For just $5 a month, you're going to get all of that stuff. Now, if you add $2 more, you're going to get limited, exclusive CDs sent to you each and every month, and it includes the shipping. And you get a bonus CD when you sign up. I mean, how can you beat that? So go to www.theswamprecords.com/doomtomb and get in the Swamp Krewe now. This is the Doomtombpodcast, the podcast for all things stoner, doom, and sludge. My name is Chris. I am your host. We're even going to go a little psychedelic today. A lot of horror themes. And we're going over to Indianapolis, Indiana for this band. And they already have another release. The last one, The End, was released in June of 2020. This one just got released in September of 2020. And you know what, man? That's a testament, because their first release was out in January 2020. They are pushing the limits and getting as much material out there as possible. We had a great talk, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Here is the interview right now. Are you prepared? Are you prepared to take a trip? Well, if you want to go down this different style, you know, a little bit of 70s influence, like what I would call maybe like even proto-doom, occult psych. If you feel like you need to have a soundtrack, which would be something to a movie that you would find, like maybe Witchfinder General or even The Holy Mountain or something like that, and I'm sure we're going to get into it. These are the guys that we have to talk to. These are the gentlemen in Ancient Days. How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you doing? Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having us. We're super stoked to be a part of this.
Absolutely, man. Now, could you please introduce yourselves?
My name is Papillon Burkett. I'm the guitarist. And I'm Derek Fletcher. I'm the lead singer, lyricist, I guess you could say.
Yes. And we've got a lot to go over for this. Hey, you know what? I want to talk because I see some of the imagery, and even in the previous release, Sacrificial Knife, I see some things, and we're going to go down that rabbit hole and talk a little bit about some movies and stuff that I think there's a connection to. And I think we should start with this latest release, which really, in looking at it, it's geez, man, like a half a year after the first one. So that was pretty quick. You've got a lot of material. What's happening here?
Well, the first one we did, it kind of happened on accident because me and Papillon, we've been doing music together since, 2011.
Right.
So just over time, things started kind of building up. Papillon is who introduced me to Black Widow back in those days, and we had just been listening to him throughout the week or something, I'm sure. And the name Sacrificial Knife just kind of stuck in my head because he said it in the Sacrifice song.
Right.
And that's the line we are kind of going down, is to scare people and scare ourselves out of reality. So I would just say after we just got enough songs, I was like, hey, I'm going to just put out an album, and we're going to be called Ancient Days, and it's going to be called Sacrificial Knife. And he was on board, and I was on board, and then, we really started taking it a lot more serious by that point.
And you brought up an interesting point, because that's one thing I thought of. Like, obviously, I'm way older now. Like, I've talked about it before on the podcast when I first got Pink Floyd The Wall, and I listened to the whole thing as an entirety. I was a kid. It scared the ever-loving shit out of me. And then even that mixed in with, like, that's what I get with Ancient Days. I get a little bit of that. But then I get, like, the trippiest parts of Sabbath as well. So you nailed it, man, because I'm thinking about this as, like, if I was a kid, this is like a horror movie soundtrack of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the step we go through, like we use a lot of the older cult movie imagery, and not the biggest movie buff, but I'm into that shit, and so is Papillon, and it's like the first song that ever scared the hell out of me was Dazed and Confused and Black Sabbath.
Right.
And that's something that just always stuck with me. So we just kind of wanted to keep going down that line and let everyone else kind of feel that, and the hints of the psychedelic and the hints of just the horror.
Yeah. But keeping like, one of my scariest songs growing up was some of the stuff that Jim Morrison and the Doors were doing too. Just, open words, scary, just really scary tonnage. Absolutely love the Doors. Big influence with our sound also.
Absolutely. Now, here's the question, because going to Sacrificial Knife for just a second, I'm curious, did Jim Morrison answer either of you?
Sometimes I think he did.
All right. Hey, man, you never know. I just I interviewed Isaiah Mitchell recently from the band Earthless.
Yeah, that was awesome. We listened. It was awesome.
Did you hear that about, like, he had a dream about Hendrix?
Yeah. Yep. Very familiar with that.
So you never know, man. The music does strange things. It brings out very interesting, different things. Now, when listening to Sacrificial Knife, I felt a little more drum forward, and now in the end, the latest release, I feel it's a little bit more guitar forward. And if you don't mind, I'd like to start going down some of the tracks for the end. Is that cool?
Yes, please. Yep. That's Papillon makes this too easy for me, almost.
All right, so let's start out. You've got the thing that kills me. It's like song after song, we've got waves and waves of riffs, and it's not a million notes, a million miles an hour. It's something that envelops you, and it haunts you in a way. And we're gonna kick it off with Midnight Screams.
On the 12th hour of the blood moon, we will all gather in hands to chant and praise all hail.
It's kind of funny, actually, because I personally don't really play guitar. But one night, we had some medicine, and I just started strumming that. I just started kind of power chording that kind of riff, and I was like, dude, this can be a song, So we recorded it. We had our drummer Jordan send us a drum track, and that's just kind of how we've been working with him. Is he's getting us drum tracks, especially now with COVID. Right. We can't really meet up with him, and so it's been tough. But so he sent us a drum track. I just told him, scary, dude. This is gonna be so slow and heavy and scary. Which is just ironic because I don't play guitar, but Papillon just rubs off on me so much when he's playing that I try to follow and watch him, and I hear these sounds that he hits. So as I was playing, he was like, Papillon was like, you should try this on this part, And that was when it came to life, because he was the second guitar, he's the solo, he's everything that brought that song together. And that's kind of what we were trying to focus on more, is his guitar.
I got you. Yeah, and it comes through loud and clear. So I know you said maybe not a full buff, but like, if you had to pick maybe a genre, like a movie genre, to have this kind of music in, what would you choose?
I just recently watched The Lighthouse yesterday, and it would be super cool to have some of our newer tracks, even some of our old tracks, like played in the background, and some of those black and white vintage-looking scenes. When you feel like your mind is just deteriorating, then cue in the ancient days.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, what was the What was the movie with DiCaprio? Was it The Island or something? What was the
Shutter Island?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I think that would work.
That's kind of, I mean, again, that's just kind of what we, there's this thing that we want to do on stage. I'll say it now so somebody can at least see what we're going to be about, because we're going to be pretty theatrical for the most part. Conway Twitty. It's a Conway Twitty song.
Okay.
Hello, Darling. And that song's just going to kind of be playing. And whoever's going to be, whoever we decide to use is going to be sitting in this chair reading a book, peacefully as the song's playing. But to the right is The Man in the Window, which is the song Man in the Window that we did. And if you dig deep into Hello, Darling, it could be turned into somewhat of a horror movie itself. It may be somebody obsessive, somebody that really wants into this life that got left, and now it's haunting them, and and it's going to be that kind of vibe. Horror movie, some kind of murder scene, that's what we go for, something spooky.
It almost sounds like you have these like ideas of like a King Diamond kind of presentation in a way.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah,
even almost teetering on Alice Cooper a bit.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Oh, I could totally see that. Let's move forward to the next track, In the Night.
Man, that song too. That was another one I came up with the help of Papillon. It was just, and some of these songs are pretty much structured for the most part. I write a lot of poetry for the most part that, kind of like the Doors and Jim Morrison, and I'll go through it and see what songs, will work. And this whole album is pretty much for the most part a concept album, if you will.
Right.
We want the people and ourselves to listen to these songs and feel these vibes that we want it to be visual in your mind. When you're hearing it, in the night, pale moonlight, raise your hands and praise thee. We want you to see that in your head as a movie.
So the artwork, from what was it? Was it? Oh, Jesus, what was it called? Was it King of Witches? Simon King of Witches or something?
Yeah, Simon King of the Witches, I believe. Yeah, that was just something that just popped into our heads. A friend of ours, we have him do most of kind of like the album designs or album cuts, whatever, Simon King of the Witches was basically what we want people to see. We want people to be like, holy hell, I feel like I'm at a sacrifice.
Yeah, and I saw I was kind of getting the vibe even before, to go back for a second, the sacrificial knife with the witch, maybe a little homage to the movie of some sort.
Yep, actually, yeah, fully. That was, that's when that realm of things started opening up. I would see a horror movie and be like, why is this not a song? And then just start kind of basing things off, the witch, and I smelt it the same way too.
Yeah.
So people are like, it catches them, they're like, wait, I've seen that movie. Is this song having anything to do with it? And yes, it does, actually. So
probably one of the better occult movies in the 2000s or in the 2010s. Like you don't see too many happening right now, and obviously not much due to COVID and stuff, but yeah, man, the 70s and late 60s and even further back, man, it was just it was everywhere. I mean, you know, I think everybody knows like the basics. You know, like, you know, people have heard of like Rosemary's Baby or something like that, but some of this stuff seems a little more, you know, it's not quite grindhouse, but it's like, you know, not B-movie. It's not just horror, but there's some gore to it. There's some weirdness, like almost, maybe even something similar to like a trauma film, you know, like of that caliber.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and yeah, I think, you know, because the horror movies now are basically non-existent. It's tough to like make a good horror movie, and once you start involving evil and like Satan, shit that like could have happened and it can happen,
right?
So it draws people's attention because people don't want to know about that shit because they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
You know, so when you make the movie The Witch and you get to kind of see like the possibilities, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, it's like that overall helpless feeling that almost, it's like, is it paranormal? Is it something spiritual? It's that absolute helplessness. It's like that we try to take that imagery and that feeling and try to put it into a sound form. It's our main inspiration is just when people have like ghost stories or witchcraft stories, it's like, wow, we're going to take that feeling. We're going to try to recreate that through sound and lyricism and just spooky guitar work.
It makes total sense, man. I mean, I don't know. It's a different vibe because, like, you know, slasher films or, you know, whatever, these things, they get at you. They get at the core. And I've seen, you know, in more cases than one with that style of movie, it's almost like you're kind of rooting for the evil. You're kind of rooting for the bad person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was there. Yeah, when the kid starts, you know, shit starts coming to light for her, you're almost like, good for her, you know.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up, bravo, you know.
yeah, exactly.
It's when you clap when the good guy accidentally trips over their feet.
And that's when you realize that you've been on the evil side the whole time, but you haven't dug in, you know.
Dun dun dun. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell me about Man in the Window?
There's a man in the window. What does he want from me?
Man in the Window, surprisingly, what Derek and I do, we're kind of contractors. We work a lot around windows. So it's one of those things where Derek came up with these really, really good lyrics. He kind of gave me a general sound to like a man in the window is just, you know, he wants to wish you harm. He's not a good person. I was like, man, that is really good. Let me try to like put that into a riff. And what had happened was, you know, at that time I just bought a new guitar setup. Like I got an orange head. I was like, man, this is a great time to kind of turn our sound around, make it even more spooky than what we have been doing. And I just came up with a riff that's very similar to what Tony Iommi does.
Yeah.
You know, and like all the Black Sabbath guys. I mean, it's like I wanted like, so like not having a bass, like having a bass player was kind of something we were lacking at that time. So I'm just trying to capture both sides of the, you know, the sound. And that's when I came up with a good scale work. And then I presented it to Derek, and then it just took off from there. It's one of my favorite songs on Sacrificial Knives.
And that was, it's funny because, so yeah, like he was saying, we're contractors, and I was hanging blinds. I was actually training. And the guy was already pissed at me because I'd been on my phone all day, and it's hard not to because I just constantly am writing and coming up with ideas. And, you know, he's telling me to go to these rooms, put the blinds in the window, blah, blah, blah. And as I was in this window, looking down at the street, there was all these kids, and they were looking at me as if I was like a murderer. I had a huge beard. My hair was everywhere. My eyes were probably crazy, and the sky was very gray. And I was just like, thinking in their perspective, there's a man in the window. What does he want from me? You know, it's like, that was kind of, like I said, Papillon made it easy. I wrote these lyrics and it presented it to him. He turned it into what it was, and then we kind of worked together from there to turn it into fully what it was.
Oh, that's awesome. Not to be mean or anything, but I hope you gave a little scare to those kids.
I think I did.
It's like, because it doesn't matter whether it's comedy or horror or whatever. That's gonna be one of those stories. And when they get older, like, you remember that time at the house and there was that guy in the window? Oh,
yeah.
That was great. And then they tell
Staring
their
at
kids. Yeah. It also, gosh, man, it reminds me of, I interviewed this band recently called Charlie No Face. Are you familiar with that?
I don't think so, but that name sounds super awesome.
It was based off a guy. He was electrocuted and he pretty much lost his face and an arm, and he was kind of disfigured.
Wow.
Fair enough. And he didn't want to bother anyone throughout the day, so when he used to go out for walks at night. Can you imagine driving down the road and you just look over and you see this person walking by with no face?
I would introduce myself to.
No, that would. See, that's why he's the guitar player, because he can come up with scary shit where I would be like, "What the hell was that?"
And we're gonna go into this next track, which kind of, after the first three tracks, this one speeds up a little bit. We got a little bit of a change here. What can you tell me about "Don't Tell Me"?
So that song actually got inspired just through all the bullshit that's going on. Prior to everything, it just felt like everyone's trying to always do that. They're always trying to tell you, your family's always trying to tell you what you're doing wrong. Your peers, people you work for, except the government. And that's what I told him. I was like, I'm pissed off this song. Make it sound like it. Make it sound like we have something to prove and that we're stoked. Because as I was writing that song, Under the Sun came on from Black Sabbath.
Oh, no,
sure. Everyone's familiar. And when he said, go and live your life and leave them all behind, a whole song just sparked in my head. And I was just like, that's why I fucking love this band. I didn't take anything from them.
Right.
I recycled their feelings into mine to completely pass it on,
Totally get that. And it's, it's raw, it's it's a raucous track, and it's quick, man. It's just like bump, 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 and then we continue into I Am Everything. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs again. It's just kind of really heavily Black Sabbath influence, just kind of that scale work. I went with different octaves on that song on the guitar to give it some more dynamicism, kind of give it that fuller feel.
Right.
And when Derek had kind of wrote the lyrics to the song, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm really obsessed with this, and I just kind of picked up my guitar and just kept playing until Derek was like, that's perfect, right there, right there. Keep that. And that's when I just kind of formed it. It went from a soft ball of clay to hardened stone.
And I was actually, when I was training the contracting, he was my trainer the day I wrote that song, and I wanted to take it into the point of view of the devil himself. It's him telling you he's the sun, he's the day, he's the night, he's the wind, he's everything you fear. That's the devil, and that's what we wanted to put across. It's like we wanted to get to the point. We wanted to make it sound like, it starts off pretty gradual. It's like it could be anybody saying these things. It could be a god, it could be the devil, it could be a whatever, but at the end I make it apparent where I'm said, you guessed right, I'm the devil. And then it goes into the doom that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it leaves it up for the listener to decide, really. I mean, when you think
exactly.
Now, and speaking of, the next, few tracks down the line, I had mine, specifically Death's Hand. I didn't know because in looking at the imagery that you have and some previous songs, going down this rabbit hole in my head of different horror movies or occultish type movies. And there was a movie that Death's Hand reminded me of. It was called Hand of Death. It was like it was a long time ago. I want to say probably in the 60s, I think. It was I believe like a monster movie. Like there was drugs were involved with nerve gas, and then like the scientist tried it on himself and became this disfigured creature. And either way, what can you tell me about Death's Hand?
So Death's Hand was another one of those faster ones for the most part compared to what we were doing. Because most of these, every song we put out, were put out in row of how we did it and how we felt, basically,
Gotcha.
those days. So it gradually got a little faster than it kind of, grabs back, and we'll get to that, obviously. But Death's Hand is more the approach of the Charles Manson murders. When the door creeps open, will you greet him with a shaking hand? The hour is still high. It's talking about when that door comes open and death is there, how are you going to handle it? Because it's happening, basically, and that's what happened.
Exactly. It reminds me of, Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face.
And you don't want to get punched by Mike Tyson because he would kill you, probably.
Now, man. Jeez, have you seen him lately?
Dude, yeah, I am stoked on that dude. He rules. I can't wait to see him fight Roy Jones Jr. because he was my favorite fighter growing up. Roy Jones Jr. was.
Yeah.
McNeely still Steve McNeely getting pounded across the ring after Mike Tyson, came back from prison in Indiana. I'm pretty sure in Plainfield. I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, and then he fought Steve McNeely, and then I was like, yep. You got to, because Iron Mike was away.
He's a beast, man. I'll tell you what, dude. Just I gotta admit, I'm really kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, same. Yep. He signed the contract with a joint in his mouth. That's how you know he's for real.
Hey, man, there's something to that. There's something to working out or having, doing some exercise under the influence, because you might feel something a different way. Maybe come up, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but obviously with music, there's influence. But I think in other art forms, especially aside would be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts.
Absolutely.
The Gracie family is amazing. I love Brazilian style jiu-jitsu. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something about you. Let's just say, or smoking some flower or whatever, you get this other sense where maybe other things are opened up to how to take over a move or how to get out of something. Anything for flowy type of mat work. I can only imagine what it must do.
Absolutely. I mean, shit, that's how 99% of our songs became songs.
We'll get right back into the interview in just a minute, but first, I just gotta know how Tommy's doing.
Well, hey there, Tommy. What's with the long face? I don't know why I feel the way I do. I'm just not happy, Doc. I don't feel right. Oh, I think you have anxiety, Tommy. I know exactly what you need. I'm going to go ahead and write you a prescription for a record player and some sweet new records at Glory or Death Records. That'll get you back on your feet again, and right as rain in no time. Glory or Death has all the best bands: Moss Generator, Red Wizard, Love Gang, Red Witch Johnny. They'll get you feeling peachy keen again. They even have an insane double album tribute to Thin Lizzy featuring High on Fire, Mothership, Duel, Worshipper, and tons more. Wowee! Oh, that sure is keen. Side effects may include extreme giddiness, bloodshot eyes, random cravings, forgetfulness, bleeding of the ears, confusion, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, depression, anxiety, alcoholism, ulcers, or death.
We have to talk about Mucho Printing. And by we, I basically mean Mucho himself. So take it away, Mucho.
Yeah, hey, what's up, big dogs? This is Mucho Drums here to tell you a little bit about my new company, Mucho Printing. Now, I played in multiple bands for several years, and I know how important it is to leave your mark after any show. Even before hitting that first note, you want the crowd to know who you are and remember who's responsible for the sore necks the next morning. Presentation is an important factor in any band's mission to the top, and that's where we come in. Fully printed backdrops, removable bass drum covers, mesh cab covers, flags. These are just a few products that we can offer to you. We're based out of Los Angeles, California, and can ship anywhere in the United States. More importantly, our goal is to help promote bands off the stage as well. With every order, we'll post pictures of the prints, along with info about the band and any other advertisements you'd like us to include. Please check us out on Instagram and Facebook by searching Mucho Printing. Send us a message for any details. Hope all of you are staying safe, strong, and powerful out there. And remember, you win some, you lose some, but nothing beats getting some. Cheers, my friends.
Okay, let's move on. Blind Eyes. What can you tell me about it?
This is my favorite track.
Okay.
I'm not trying to keep stealing the words from Papillon, but I just get so excited because that's my favorite song and he knows it. That song was the song I wrote, years ago, and it's about the Jonestown Massacre.
Right.
Blind Eyes. Everyone had. I mean, why would you believe this asshole anyway? So that's what I made it about. I made it as if he was speaking to the people. At one point I say, let us drink this juice I supply. Don't be afraid to die. He just manipulated all these people into drinking this juice and to follow him into his prophecy, and it was just extreme horror. And that's what we wanted. And that's kind of where, Papillon came up with the riff. And, I could let him go in on that a little bit just because he knows more about what he was going for than I.
And just knowing the guy is like from Indiana too, right? It was just like, oh man, we gotta play this one perfectly.
Absolutely.
Just kind of experimented with a lot of different tunings until we kind of just dialed it in, and I was just like, this sounds very scary. It works with the lyrics, and hopefully people really understand the message that Derek was trying to portray. I mean, this guy was a master manipulator, and you just want to do just the same, but just through good and through music.
Yeah, and actually this song, the reason it's the best song is because this is the song where we actually felt like we conjured something. We listen to our tracks after we do everything on site. We master everything, we level everything.
Right.
We do it all. So we smoked our medicine. We sat down and we put it on our speaker, on his big ass Bluetooth speaker that kind of really gets you to feel and hear every sound that you need to. And I cannot make this up. I wish I could. But as it said, the juice I supply, don't be afraid to die part, the speaker fucking jumped off the counter and just slammed on the ground and just started like making the weirdest noises and like still playing, but just like it sounded like it was like underwater and shit. And me and Papillon just looked at each other and laughed. That's all we could do. We were just like, what?
Yeah, it didn't fall off. It was thrown off.
Yeah, it was impossible to fall off. It just literally like it looked like it grew little fucking legs and just bounced. It was like 3 feet away from the counter. It was impossible.
Wow. That's there's something otherworldly going on, man. I don't know, man. You got Jim Morris in there. You got things flying across the room. What the hell?
We like laughed and we looked at each other, and I had said like, I think we're doing a good job.
Yeah. Now, okay, so take this idea of the Jonestown Massacre, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, was it like almost like 1,000 people died?
It was
something like that.
It was a lot.
They
tried to escape. They would shoot him in the woods, unfortunately.
Yeah,
no. It was impossible. You were there. Like, you just, you can't go anywhere. You left all your shit behind, So it's like, around 1,000 people leaving their cards and their IDs and everything behind.
Yep.
It's impossible to know officially how many were there.
And look, man, I'm not going to make fun of people dying or whatever, but there had to be like one guy that like he had something bad to eat and he's in the bathroom for a long time, and he comes out and he's like, hey, what happened? Like he missed the whole thing,
He missed it all, and he's
like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. He's the one that escaped because luckily he had to shit.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm going for. Yes.
No, I back it. I hope that happened to somebody there. I hope that, because I think there was like a couple people that got away, and there's interviews with them, and they're tried, obviously.
And those interviews, man, whether it's this or something else, I don't know if anyone made it out of what was the with the Branch Davidians years ago.
Which one was that?
With David Koresh.
I don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, it was that whole thing where the government just started, firing in and shooting them. They torched the place, basically, from what I remember.
Was that the one in Texas?
Yes.
Yeah, I do know that one. That one's crazy.
That one's crazy. And, like, I haven't heard a whole lot of other ones recently. I know that there was a documentary I saw a couple years ago called The Source Family. I really like that one. That's a great documentary if you get a chance. It was like about this guy, and he kind of had this commune, and it was based around this, which I think was like the first natural food place in California. And, you'd see stars there and all this kind of stuff. And he started doing like yoga in the back, and then it became like people wanted to know more of what this guy had. And it's, okay, that's fine, whatever. And, a lot of the people are still alive. And as they talk about it, they still talk about it like as being like the most mystical experience of their life. And no, I mean, it wasn't a, like a death cult. They didn't die.
Right.
Actually, it was the, well, you watch the film and you find out. But,
it was like a rock thing, right? And then he played music and shit.
Well, that was Koresh.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it. I remember him going by. He was called Father Yod,
Yeah.
YOD. And I don't remember him playing music. Maybe he did. I might have to watch it again.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I do remember hearing about this dude. And yeah, I mean, it seems like that's almost what happens with these cults, whether they get killed or they don't. The people that survived it or the people that got out of it still talk about these people, like the Charles Manson followers. They still talk about him, like how awesome he was, and how they made him feel. And that's the stuff that we just dig, like it just makes you, it's so spooky. We'll just never know the real side of that shit. So why not explore on it,
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know. It's just like, it just seems so strange.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You would think anybody with a head on their shoulders would be like, this dude's trying to get me to follow him to do whatever he wants, I guess. No thanks.
Yeah, but there was the only other one I can think of. It was the Hale Bopp Comet guy. I remember he had gray hair, and they wore.
Technology guy.
They all wore like Nike.
The old guy.
They
Wait,
wore
that-
like Nike sneakers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah.
That shit's fucking gnarly, dude. They all wore the same outfits and the same shoes, and yeah.
And
dude,
the thing
that's
is,
real
the
weird.
majority of those people were very educated human beings.
Yeah, even the guy himself.
Yeah, crazy.
He was like
man.
a genius, and you're just like, what?
See, I see song inspiration here. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we've been looking into that one too. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move forward. Okay, so again, House in the Woods. I think it was a British film. It was like kind of a mystery. I don't know if there was a connection with it, but what can you tell me about House in the Woods?
Well, that one was more of a sporadic, random one that we needed to fill in quickly.
Okay.
But again, as contractors, we're driving everywhere and we're doing all the shit. I just remember seeing this house that just looked scary as hell, like a house that you just should not be near or in or even look at. So, and it still kind of backtracked too to like the witch,
Right.
like the witch's house out in the middle of the woods is something that you shouldn't go near. But it was more along the lines again of like the devil, a house where the devil lived. If you went there, you're not going to come back. You know, you could hear the screams of tortured people still. You can, you know, what is he really wanting from people? And it's just their soul. And that's what we were trying to get, is like when you heard that riff and the higher string that he uses. Sorry, I'm not a guitar guy, so I babble on about guitars like I know it, but I don't. You know, but that's just what we were going for. And that's the thing. It's like, I tell him, you know, I'll tell him what I see in my head, what I feel, and he plays it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. You know, it's good. It's good that you two found each other then, man, because, you know, you got something in your head, and he can, you know, make the noise, get
Seriously,
it out there.
Forever. I mean, we've been trying to record since 2011, and it's been the ultimate disaster. It had some cool, because at the time when we're doing the shit, we're like, dude, this is sick. But then you hear it 5 years later, and you're like, what were we doing? Why did we ever think this was okay?
Dude, I totally get it, because, you know, you ever had that feeling like, man, I wish I knew what I you know, knew then what I know now, but then you're like, oh, I was such a piece of shit, you know, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and then I think, well, I was a piece of shit 5 years ago, and a year ago, I was probably a piece of shit yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, but whatever. It's like, we're trying. Like, you know, all right, so I do the radio show, and then right after I put a podcast on, and I think when I was recording them, like my wife was nearby or she was sleeping, I was doing it late at night, because instead of my, you know, I don't know, one voice, I was like real low, and, you know, hey, everybody, how are you? Like I was coming out of a grave or something. I don't know what my process was. I was probably filling with knobs that I shouldn't. Now at least I have an editor to take care of it, so I don't sound like total shit. Okay, so the Creeper, you know, again, and thank you guys, because you keep bringing me down this rabbit hole of weirdness and obscurity with like some occultish type films and horror genre. There was a movie, I think it was called The Creeper, actually. It was in the 40s or 50s, and it was like a man that turned into a cat. Maybe it was a little later. I don't know. All right, so anyway, The Creeper, what can you tell me about it?
Again, just one of those songs, dude, where it was like, we wanted it to be scary, and we wanted people to feel like some guy was going to murder you. I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's like, you know, it's almost on the verge of the Night Stalker, although it's not. You know, it was about a guy that would just wait for you, you know, and you would be doing your thing in your house and thinking everything's a-okay, but he was there the whole time.
Gotcha.
He was in your house. It's too late basically to back out and to call any help, because he's always one step ahead of you, and that's what we kind of wanted to go for was, you know, a murderer in your house, and there's nothing you could do but just die.
There's something odd about that, whether it's, you know, in real life or whether it's in the movie, where, you know, you see these killers, and I would say a majority of the time they're very calm, and maybe that's a part of the what is it? I'm blanking on the term. What is it? A sociopath.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it just keeps you at an even level where you're not frantic and frenetic. Your emotions don't get involved, so you're able to make better decisions. I mean, granted, you know, killing somebody maybe not the best decision, but
I don't think so.
They're on course, is what I'm saying. And if it was a job, come review time, they'd be getting a decent raise, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, that's essentially, again, that's kind of what we went for. We just wanted, you know, because we try not to really have the same sound on every song or release at that
Right.
point. Just, it's always changing and it's always evolving, you know, and that was just kind of like the thing. It's like he's planning his next move before you blink. He's the first thought before you think. The blade is sharp as winter wind. He's ready to kill. The blade sharp as winter wind. He's already in. You know, so he's like just kind of a lot of wordplay and a lot of, you know, a lot of our songs do have a lot to think about, you know, because it seems like a lot of doom tracks, it doesn't, you know, it's, and I'm not trying to sound harsh, but in the reality of it, it's kind of easy to just talk about weed and mountains and suns and shit, you know. So it's like,
yes, it is.
we try to do a lot of metaphors, and we try to like make the lyrics is hard work too, you know. So it's like we want people to see the guitar and hear it, and we want them to see the lyrics and really dig into it, you know. It's like, what does he mean by unwanted and unaware? You weren't prepared for your nightmare. Like, what is that? Where does that put the listener? You know, is what we kind of do. We want to put the listener in the position of hearing a movie again.
And I think you pulled it off, man. I mean, it sounds exactly like it, without question. What can you tell me about Feel the Fire?
Feel the Fire was just, it's when Derek was kind of reading the lyrics off, I got this like feeling of like, you know, fright, like fight or flight. And when I first heard the lyrics, I tried to memorize how I felt. And just through pure practice, I just messed with a lot of different riffs, a lot of different rhythms, tempos, until I was able to reciprocate how I felt initially when I heard the lyrics. And once I was able to like find a really good sound for it, I was like, okay, Derek, this is what I'm feeling. And then I look over and Derek's eyes are as big as dinner plates. I was like, okay, I think we found it. Let's lay it down. Let's get it done.
Yeah, and that was the gist of that song. It was again another one of those little faster ones, Witchfinder General vibes, if you will. You know, where it's in the perspective of the people trying to burn this lady that they thought was a witch. You know, and in the end, as they're burning it, you know, I put "Fly, witch, fly." You know, because her escaping and proving to the people she was a witch this whole time. You know, and I feel like we nailed that vibe for the most part, especially through Papillon's guitar work.
I was listening to a lot of Uncle Acid at that time also, so it definitely was a big help.
That is always a big influence. Now, Papillon, what were some of your earlier influences, and what are you listening to now?
A lot of my earlier influences was just classic rock and roll, the Doors, a lot of the things that my dad got me into, like Deep Purple, all of Deep Purple, Black Sabbath most importantly, and just kind of evolved into like subsects of each genre, like listening to other bands. Like once I got into Alice Cooper, my eyes were wide open and my ears were just attuned and just grabbing everything. And then, you know, grabbing a lot of the scale works from like Three Dog Night and a lot of the really classic bands, you know, just back in the days when music was really simple and beautiful, and just kind of filtering it through my brain and trying to make it my own. And it's just doing that, like nowadays, like I've been listening to like 1955, 1960s Japanese like music and turning their vocal notes into solo notes and just kind of messing with the rhythm and just seeing how I could turn this into doom, just because I've been listening to such great, fantastic music for so long and playing guitar, just, you know, kind of always being innovative, but staying true to the genre and making it sound just absolutely scary, you know?
Absolutely. And okay, so this Japanese music, is it more like the Japanese psych, or is it something completely different?
It's crazy. Like one of them is just Mari Atsumi, and she has a song called Suki Yo Ai Shite, and it means I love you, and it's kind of like a love song. Right. It's kind of a little poppy, it's strange tempo too. It's a beautiful song. It's not even that big. I couldn't even find lyrics for it to translate, but I just listened to all these crazy musics, you know, like all the blues, jazz, everything I can listen to just kind of change it around. It's as if they lit like a torch, and it's my job to grab it and turn it into my own flame, you know, and give it to Ancient Days and have people listen to it and be hyped on it.
Absolutely. Now, you know, you mentioned Three Dog Night, and I've gone back and forth on this, and there was a band, Green Druid, that talked about this, you know, the whole idea of will it doom, and can we? And I'm going to take one from Three Dog Night. They did an old-fashioned love song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, do that one. That's what I'm asking for right now. Mama Told Me Not to Come. Maybe not so much. But that an old-fashioned love song for some reason that hits me, and it hits me in more than one way, because as I'm looking through the songs that you have, and the topics and the ideology, it kind of reminded me. There was a movie a while ago. It was called I think I hope I'm not butchering it. The Blood on Satan's Claw.
Yeah. Yep.
And the band Alistair took that as a title. But, you know, I guess this ties into my next question. So Alistair redid this track that was a killer track, and I guess was kind of apocalyptic. I didn't even realize it at the time as a kid, but now looking back, I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because we're actually just about to do our own version of Sinister Purpose.
Really?
Yeah, because it dooms. You know, like
Will it do?
yeah, will it doom? I mean, shit, Bad Moon Rising, like CCR had a lot of doom lyrics even on accident. So I yeah, dude, I back it.
It's funny because you hear it and you're hearing, like, you know, when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, and I grew up in New York, so to me, anything outside of New York was Southern or whatever. So I was like, that's kind of like a Southern jam, man. I get it, man. And I didn't even know where they were from at the time, and it didn't even matter. It just kind of sounded, it had that something to it. And now going back, and especially during the time period that was going on, it was a time of upheaval, much like now. So I'm very curious, and I guess I don't know if I've asked anybody yet. So you guys will probably be the first.
Yeah.
Have the current times with the pandemic and everything else that's going on, has this given you some meat, you know, for the you know, to flesh out a song based on exactly what's going on now?
I think subconsciously, you know, just because, dude, it's such a strange time for everybody, you know, so it's like, it already gives you that doom feeling, you know, right. So it's, you know, not necessarily writing music about, you know, anything like that going on, but I mean, at the same time, a lot of our music still correlates with the end times and pandemics and madness and craziness. So it's like, yeah, I mean, most recently on our new shit we've been working on, I would say so, just because it's there, it's here, you know.
Right. It's like you can't avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm curious because, you know, I know it sounds like you guys got some ideas in the can here. What's next for the material? Are you going to continue on this path of the same ideology of whether it's the subject matter and et cetera, or are you moving into another direction? What do you got coming up for the next release?
Yeah, so the next release is going to be titled Black Magic Nights, which we're taking from the first album, Black Magic,
Sure.
One of the songs. A friend of ours, Johnny Summers, Arizona legend, shreds on every instrument possible just by looking at it. Came up with this graphic for us. He's a graphic design artist for the most part, and he sent over just the classic Black Magic altar, you know, where we're just like, let's reference this into this, you know, let's make that this. And so, yeah, for the most part, I mean, honestly, it's getting more evil. It's getting more into like the heavy occult sacrificing shit, you know, because what we did originally is, you know, we put out Sacrificial Knife and we put out The End. And, you know, as time went on and we realized like, man, this stuff is good, but it should be better. You know, we took everything that we thought was best for each album or release,
right,
and made an official, like, quiet release. You know, we just put it out on like Spotify or something, and we just called it Ancient Days. You know, that's what we want people to see. So when they get to Spotify and they see the album cover, you know, and if it's people that's already listened, they're like, oh yeah, I recognize these songs. It's cool that they put them all together. You know, because there's a lot of songs on the first album that shouldn't have even been put out, but they were just for fun, and then it turned into serious So we were like, let's make it more serious and turn it into this. So yeah, for the second one, we're just going to kind of follow along the lines of the Satanism concept and the cult and the murders and all that. And, you know, why change? You know, Motorhead never changed. And look how good they were forever, you know?
Yeah, please. Motorhead, the Ramones. I mean, it's like...
Yeah. There's no need to change your sound. Just keep it the same shit. And people that are into it are going to be into it. And whoever says elsewise, you know, they aren't making the music. They don't know, you know, because... Yes, we want people to hear what we're writing. We do, but we make this for us, you know, us too. This is what we want to listen to. This is what we want to hear. You know, you turn on a rock and roll radio station of current times and somehow it's like techno and shit. You're not hearing the shit that needs to be out there. Uncle Acid, Ruby the Hatchet, The Well, Red Wizard, you know, all the shit that rules. Earthless, I could go on for ages. You know,
absolutely. You know, isn't that the craziest thing? Because like, you know, if I'm just having a casual conversation and, you know, we talk about, you know, I'll mention a podcast or whatever, and I explain the style of music, and they're like, I don't know. That my quickest thing is just to say, oh, okay, well, okay, picture like Black Sabbath kind of brought up to now. That's like the clearer version. And then I say, well, like name some bands. Dude, no joke. I can name 100 bands. And they're like, no.
yeah, exactly.
But then in the next sentence, I'm like, did you hear the new WAP song? Like, oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
yeah, that sounds fucking heavy.
I've yet to hear it.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but I see it all over Instagram, unfortunately. And
We're in protest.
yeah, I'm protesting the fuck out of any music that comes out now, except for obviously the shit that rules. But I mean,
I will say there's some silly stuff in the video, and it's ridiculous. And I know people are giving hate on it. You know what? I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Misogyny in hip hop has gone on for fucking years,
forever.
And a woman's just like these women. All right, it's filthy. Yeah, I get it, but you know they're just saying, you know, guys have said the same shit.
Yeah,
and
exactly. It's recycled.
So, yeah, and especially, you know, it's kind of with the I don't want to say a full uptake, but like a change in feminism and et cetera. It's like, yeah, well, you could celebrate that. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, you're just saying what you like, and you don't, you know, in the song, obviously, but you know, nobody has to like exactly what you do, and you don't have to listen.
Exactly.
So, guys, I want to thank you. But before we go, I just have a few quick movies to run down, see if you've seen them or if you got a take on them. I'd be curious, and then maybe if there's something that I haven't mentioned that you could recommend to me. And then going down this rabbit hole, like there was you know, it's weird. Like I when I was a kid, this type of horror movies and stuff, you know, even like Rosemary's Baby or whatever, it's just Omen, Exorcist, it scared the crap out of me.
Yes.
But now that I know, it's like I can deal with this. Yeah, I'm a grown person. I can hang with this.
Right.
And as I got older, I got into the, I don't want to say schlocky, but almost like the exploitation kind of films or sexploitation or, you know, like the trauma films. And there was a brand that did it. It was called Rotten Cotton. That's the name of it. And it's you know, they had T-shirts and stuff, and like that was the first time I ever heard about the Black Devil doll. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it put me down this hole. So as I was going down and listening to the music and stuff, here's a few movies that reminded me of. Have you ever seen the movie Black Candles?
No, but that sounds awesome already.
Please check it out. It's you know, there's Black Candles, I don't know, it kind of got a jokish vibe, but it's horror, you know, like a hippie kind of thing. Definitely sexploitation. Easy. I told you about Blood on Satan's Claw. Oh, Belladonna of Sadness.
I've heard of that one.
Please.
I've not seen it, but I have definitely heard of that one.
Please
These
check
are better questions to ask my wife. She watches these movies like on repeat.
All right. Well, you know, when this gets out, you know, see what the reaction is on her face. Have you ever seen? Is it A Dark Song? I think that's the name of it.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as like the horror movies go, it's it's so vague for me because the movies I watch is just like Dumb and Dumber and like stupid shit, So it's like the horror movies that I have seen are like the obvious ones, Poltergeist, Exorcist,
Sure.
Satan's Slave, 70s movie. We're actually writing a single about it now. So I've dug into some occult films, but I haven't dug into enough, and that's kind of where we're at now. It's like we're starting to do our homework, and we're starting to dig into shit. We're starting to dig into like what these murderers that we're writing about actually thought, what they actually did. And same with the movies. It's like try to write it scene for scene. We wrote a song about that movie Midsummer.
Nice.
And it's a single that we release coming out on Black Magic, and it's called Welcome to the Sacrifice. It's basically like that, it's you really thought you were safe here, you really thought this was normal, we're
Right.
now sacrificing you. So
And what a great film too, man.
yeah, dude, that movie is very fucked up.
That was another Peele movie, right?
I believe so. Yep.
I mean, he's, you see Key and Peele on Comedy Central. I think that was
Yeah.
where their show was. And, you laugh your ass off and have a good time. And then he comes out with that. He comes with Get Out. And I like where he's been going. And I didn't, like, you look at him and, like, I didn't know you had it in you, brother. It's like,
Dude,
damn.
exactly, man. And that's what is rad about when people are making music or movies where you're just like, all right, I didn't think that was in your head, but okay. Like Jim Carrey. I know that dude from The Mask and Dumb and Dumber and just all the classic shit, and then he comes out enlightened as ever and just spilling the truth to everyone. And you're just like, damn.
Yeah.
All right.
He and there's a way, it is a part of it because, you look at somebody that's so damn famous and you're like, are you throwing it away? Or are you, you're enlightening people, obviously, but is it, I hope it does good for him. I remember hearing the story years ago where he had an act and he was doing it and he was, it was kind of, but he wasn't really himself. And it was, when he was doing comedy and he like just gutted the whole act and started clean. Or not, you just started over fresh.
Yeah.
And really just catapulted him and changed his trajectory in a complete 180.
Right.
And he was successful before, with the comedy, but then just like it just went to another level. So so this final part, it's more of the writer that kind of catches me because I've seen several of his movies, and I'll be damned, man. It is if like you say, if you take your medicine properly.
Yep.
Very good stuff to watch. And the first is The Holy Mountain.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that movie is fucking awesome.
What the hell is going
Dude.
on? I mean, it is so insane, man.
That's the shit that I dig a lot. And obviously I'm assuming Sleep probably got their album name from that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They had to.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, that one's good.
Was I hope I'm not butchering the name. Alejandro Jodorowsky, I believe that's the guy. Anyway, he also did El Topo. Did you ever see El Topo?
I haven't seen El Topo now.
There was a cool movie he did. I don't know. It's kind of lulled along. It was fair, called Tusk, but there was another good movie that he did called Santa Sangre. If you get a chance to see, very good stuff.
Yeah, I'll check that out too. Because I remember the Holy Mountain movie. Even like we're gonna use that at one point for a release image, just because it fits exactly what our stage is gonna be. I'm basically gonna be wearing the same damn hat he is with my head down. So
Right.
it just made sense, but we never got around to it. I'm sure maybe one day we'll incorporate it. And I need to dig more into it and watch it again because it's been years since I've seen it, but that would probably spark some shit.
Yeah, and there was one film from him that I have yet to see. Well, I shouldn't say it. There's a few that just didn't resonate with me. But He did a movie last year, I think. It was more of a documentary. I think it'd have to be subtitled because I don't speak French. Psycho Magic.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I would really want to see what that's about. I don't know. And, you know, thinking about it, you know, he's like in his 90s now, so he was probably like late 80s or 90 when he was creating this. So he's still got a little more fire in him, you know?
Yeah, man. It's people like that that just somehow live forever because they're smart, and it just makes them live forever or something.
And a little bit of crazy don't hurt.
Exactly, dude. You got to be a little wild, dude. I mean, that's what being a musician and even getting into music and liking movies is. There's that little creative section of your brain that once you unlock it, I mean, dude, as soon as I heard music, I hit the ground running with it. I'm into it. I love it, dude. And I never knew why until now. It all makes sense where as a kid, I can remember just making up random sounds and singing random songs that would pop in my head. And that's what happens for most of our songs is it just pops in my head and I have a whole song that I've sang that isn't even a song.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Sometimes, you know, people have sat on songs for 20 years before they get to put it out. And sometimes it's like, you know, it's funny, actually, most recently in some of the interviews, people saying like, we were recording and we were finishing the song. Like we didn't know where it was going to go. And it was just almost like a rush job, but it came out to be like, you know, like one of my favorite parts of the album.
Yeah. We have some of those too, where it's like, again, I'll just say, hey, think of somebody getting completely kidnapped and murdered, and he plays a riff, and I'm like, that's what I'm hearing or seeing, and then I'll write the lyrics right then and there, and then I'll record it, and we're just like, all right, well, yeah, it's kind of how the song Black Widow, it's another single we came out. That song was just in my head.
Right.
You know, I was, all right, this part right here is how this part goes, and this. You know, and that was our homage that we paid to Black Widow, the band, which we just put out a YouTube split with them on Mr. Doom 666's YouTube page.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah, we were pretty stoked on that.
They're very supportive too.
I found the guy on Facebook, and he looked nothing like anybody that would be in a band, and I just hoped and prayed. I was like, hey, man, very random, and I apologize if this isn't you, but are you Kip Trevor from Black Widow? And he's like, yes, that's me. And I was like, holy shit. You know, that's like
hysterical.
Equivalent to talking to Ozzy. You know, like we've looked up to Black Widow for seriously as long as I can remember. And once I kind of ran it to him, I was like, well, how would you feel if we kind of like revived you guys? I mean, obviously everybody that's into Doom already knows who you are.
Right.
You know, but there might be a handful of people that don't know who you are, and there's also a lot of people out there that don't know who we are. So why don't we do a split of, you know, Ancient Days Black Widow and Black Widow in Ancient Days, and we'll just put it out on YouTube. And he was all about it.
Hey, man, stranger things have happened. You know, that's a great collab, man. Thanks for doing that. You know, you reach out, you throw it up, see if somebody wants to hit it out of the park, and it sounds like you guys are doing that. So, lastly, I was just thinking about this because I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the songs and the imagery and etc. What do you guys got planned for some merchandise?
We got a lot of stuff planned. What we first did was rushed. First and second one, we rushed, as you can see how fast they came out, because I'm a crazy maniac, and I, for some reason, feel like things need to be done instantly. So that's when Papillon kind of pulled me out of that mindset. It was like, relax, let's take our time. So we're working on some stuff. Our first, you know, what we're really focused on is getting this first album, or our next album, done and out.
Right.
And then we want to start focusing on doing shows. And once we do our first or second show, we're going to start dropping shirts, pins, stickers, hats, pinball machines, hopefully.
Fantastic, man. Right next to the Kiss one and the Metallica one and all those.
Yeah. if you're from the local Indianapolis area, we've been messing with a couple prototypes. Like if you go to a couple of the Starbucks on the south side of Indianapolis, you'll find a couple of H&J sticker on the posts.
Yep.
We have
Oh, cool, man.
our top supporters have shirts that they wear around town, and we're just, when it comes to merch, definitely want to take our time on it because I want it to look cool. Derek wants it to look cool. And once, we build up more momentum, play a lot more shows, get some more recognition, we're going to be trying to hand that stuff out like hotcakes.
Yeah, for real. Because I messed around with a graphic I actually made on Snapchat using cutouts.
Interesting.
It's me and Pappy on space.
Right.
And it's real dark and gray, and then just like kind of above us, it just says Ancient Days in the font. And we just messed around with it until it looked good enough. And then I sent it in as a shirt, and it actually turned out like super rad, So I was like, okay, this kind of works, but shit's not cheap, man. I mean, it's the same with like pressing records. Like this next one we release is like going to be the one that we take very serious, like quit your job serious and tour the world serious, and all that stuff. And I think that right now our focus is just trying to make sure we're making the best music we can for ourselves possible and for the people that are listening, but that doesn't limit our merch. Like we're still down. If somebody was to reach out to us and be like, how can I get a shirt, we'll ask them what size they are, we'll get them a shirt, and we'll get it to them.
There's a few instances of that too. With some of our really close followers, we hand out shirts. One person from California, I didn't even want to take his money. I was just like, dude, thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Here's a shirt, paid shipping, sent it out.
Yeah, because really, I mean, I don't want money from this. I just want to do it. I don't care if I lived in an RV for the rest of my life. Like, that's just how hungry we've been. We've never, since 2011, argued. We've never headbutted about a song.
Right.
We both, it's like the Beatles. One of them disagreed, it was out. And that's how we are. It's, if he doesn't like something, it's gone. If I don't like something, it's gone. And that's just going to keep us rolling, and that's all we want people to see is how hard we're working and that we're doing it to entertain and to listen and keep things fresh and to obviously keep Black Sabbath alive, because when Ozzy's dead, dude, he's dead. And that's the Doom's part, that's all of our part in Doom, because without Ozzy and without Black Sabbath and without, Blue Cheer, and the list could go on, obviously, but, Ozzy being the dude he is, that's where it all comes from in reality.
Yeah, I mean, is it geeky to me to like, I want to go see that house when I go over to London?
No, because I want to do the same thing, dude. I'll be right there with you. I'll even take your picture.
I think it's still there, and I think I saw pictures of it recently, but I don't know.
I'm sure it is, dude.
Oh, and I keep wanting to say that lastly, but what are you guys currently listening to that's blowing your skirt up?
Astaroth. I've been listening to a lot of Astaroth.
Yeah, those dudes are sick. He just showed me a song of them today, and not to get it confused with Asher Roth or whatever the rap guy's name is.
Yeah, a little different.
Dude, honestly, I'll start first and I'll make it quick so I don't make everyone's ears explode. But my music playlist is crazy. Right now, I've actually been digging a lot into King Gizzard. I've known him and I've listened to him, but as of now, I've really been listening to him, and all the obviouses, Uncle Acid, Sleep, Sabbath. I mean, I go to Waylon Jennings, to the Eagles, to Bee Gees, to Kiss, to the Doors, everywhere. And that's kind of, I've been listening to Orchid a lot lately. Those dudes are fucking, dude, if you guys are listening somehow, you guys kick ass. Please come back and make music, because you rule.
Yeah, I've thought about it. So are they officially done for now, or?
I mean, shit, the last thing I think they put out was like 2012 or 11, maybe.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
And the dude is, and that's what made us stoked too, is like the dudes are, and they're not old by any means, but, they're in their mid 50s. And I had no idea, and like, that's awesome, because they're just proving that you can just kick ass, and it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter what you look like. Like, you can kick ass with rock and roll. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the people that were in Orchid have gone on to do other things as well.
I need to find that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that off the mic. I don't remember if he said that on mic or not. I have to go check that out. I'll tell you later.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A
All right,
lot of
guys. Yes?
just a lot of the stuff that like I've been trying to help incorporate with Ancient Days too. Like on my end is just I'm kind of everywhere with the music. I've been listening to a lot of Bobby Darin, a lot of ELO, a lot of Uncle Acid, of course. Electric Wizard's probably one of my top 3 favorite bands. Absolutely love those guys. Ruby the Hatchet, amazing.
Good people. Love those guys.
Yeah, just we're bouncing everywhere with music, and we try to grab everything from such different genres.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like that because it keeps you open. It keeps it clear. And, you never know where an inspiration is going to come from,
Exactly.
All right, gents, thank you so much. How can everybody reach you and get a hold of you and buy your stuff?
Well, first of all, thank you for letting us be here. Like I said, the first time I saw you interview Red Wizard, I was like, damn, I want to do that. So this is big deal to us. So thank you very much. And you guys can find us on Spotify, YouTube, basically every music platform under Ancient Days, and you'll know when it's us. You'll see the graphics. Instagram is ancient_days666, and that's how you can get a hold of us band wise, and hopefully we get some people that are stoked on this and digging into our music a little more, because we have a lot to share and to show.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much. Just hang out for just a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a second. Thanks to the guys in Ancient Days for giving us their time. Let's hear a track. Now, I can't believe this. In the time that it has taken me to get this episode out, they already have a brand new release. But let's hear something that was released in June of 2020 off of the album The End. This is In the Night. Thank you to Ian from No Masters Audio for editing this episode. If you need to reach out to him, please do so. The link is in the show notes. www.doomtombpodcast.com. You can go back and listen to some archived episodes and whatever else I'm going to wind up putting on there. I still haven't figured it out. It's only been a few years. I still haven't gotten the website to where I want it. Across all forms of social media, it's Doom Tomb Podcast. And if you need to reach us for an interview, review, submission, it's doomtombpodcast at gmail.com. Don't forget Cranium Radio, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every Sunday. Those links are in the show notes as well. So until that next time, meantime, and in between time, support your bands. Reach out to your friends, and don't forget to stay heavy.